How would each current champion do against the GOAT of their division, the greatest of all time in their respective divisions? I'm super excited to get into this topic. So, without further ado, let's do it. First up, we have flyweight, and we're starting off the current champion, Alexandre Pantoja, versus Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson, who is the GOAT of the division. Now, this would be a super interesting one. I think it'd be a great matchup. I think Pantoja is bigger than him and might have the better scrambling. However, DJ definitely has the BJJ advantage and the striking advantage. With all this considered, I would lean DJ. He's just the most complete mixed martial artist we've ever seen. He's dangerous on his back. He's dangerous on the feet. He's dangerous everywhere the fight goes. So, yes, I would pick DJ to win this fight against Pantoja. I would expect Pantoja to take Mighty Mouse down at least some point in the fight and maybe control him for a little bit. But when he does take him down, he has to worry about a crazy submission threat. And on the feet, Mighty Mouse is the way better striker. So overall, I would lean Mighty Mouse. Moving on to bantamweight, we have Marab, and the current GOAT of bantamweight is also Marab. So Marab's the current champ and the GOAT of featherweight. Another guy that's talked about the GOAT is the Dominic Cruz, but I think Marab beats him. Another guy I talked about the GOAT is TJ Dillashaw. I think Marab beats him. And another guy I talked about the GOAT of the division is Aljamain Sterling. I think this will be a lot closer matchup. Aljamain Sterling is way bigger than Marab. He was a huge bantamweight, but at the same time, Aljo Marab admits daily that Aljo just beats him up in training, and we've seen clips of Aljo submitting him. So I don't know. I think that'd be a super interesting matchup. I think Aljo's the one guy that can match Marab's physicality, so I think that'd be his closest match. But of course, Marab is the current bantamweight GOAT. Up next, we have the featherweight division, and this is another division where I think the current champion is also the GOAT of the division, Alexander Volkanovski. Now, one guy heavily debated as the GOAT of the division is Jose Aldo. So let's match up Volk for Aldo just for fun. I do think Volk would win this fight. I think Aldo might be the better boxer in sheer terms of just boxing combinations. He's probably a bit quicker, but I think Volk has better distance management. Volk also has the better chin, in my opinion. He's the better wrestler. I think he's a little bit bigger, a little bit stronger, actually way stronger. And we know Jose Aldo isn't great at winning decisions because he doesn't really understand the concept of control time. So I think Volk would be able to win this fight for sure. I think he has a finishing potential, and I think he has the decision potential. So yeah, give me Volk all day in this one. Moving up to lightweight, the current champion Ilia Topuria versus the GOAT of the division, Islam Makhachev. And now this is a dream matchup that we actually might be able to see one day. I hope we do. Islam versus Ilia. I think Islam is the GOAT of the division. So let's match him up versus Ilya. I think Ilya wins just because Ilya's looked so unbeatable recently against different guys like Charles, Volk, Max. Literally looks unbeatable. Whereas Islam, we've seen him be hurt before. We've seen him have bad moments. He looked beatable against Dustin. He has looked beatable in fights before, whereas Ilya just literally hasn't. And if you're looking beatable against old Dustin, then it's going to be pretty bad against Ilya Taporia. I think Ilya has a great base, a good wrestling base to where he's going to be able to stuff a lot of Islam's takedowns. I do think Islam will win 1 or 2 rounds where he'll be able to take him down and control him. But overall, Ilya is going to be so much more dangerous on the feet. And it's a good fight, though, because at the same time, Islam is so smart with his defense and just not getting knocked out. So at the same time, I can definitely see Islam evading those shots. So this is about as close to a 50-50 shot as you can get. I slightly lean Ilya. Next up, we have welterweight. The current welterweight champion is JDM. The welterweight GOAT is GSP. And of course, I have GSP winning this one. GSP had such a weird and hard to deal with striking karate background and also a great wrestling background. He'll be the best wrestler that JDM has ever faced. Yeah, I think this is a no-brainer. GSP wins this one. I don't know if necessarily he would outstrike JDM. I think they'd be what and what, but GSP had a weird striking style that was hard for people to figure out. But at the same time, he is the much better wrestler. I think he'll be able to control JDM. So yeah, give me GSP in this one pretty easily. Moving forward to middleweight, and the current middleweight champion is Khamzat Chimaev, and the middleweight GOAT by a long shot, I might add, is Anderson Silva. People were arguing that if Dricus beat Khamzat, he'd be the GOAT. That is ridiculous. People are saying if Chimaev gets 1 or 2 defenses, he'll be the GOAT of middleweight. That is ridiculous. Anderson Silva is so far ahead of all these guys. 11 title wins, longest UFC winning streak in history, with a good resume, double champ Dan Henderson, Rich Franklin, Vitor Belfort. You guys know I have to add my Silva glaze in. But with all of this being said, I do think Chimaev beats Silva. Chimaev is just such a bad matchup for Silva. Now, Silva is very dangerous off his back. He is good at BJJ. We saw this against his fight with Chael Sonnen where he did kind of get ragdolled until he fluked the submission. So this would be his Hail Mary shot against Chimaev. But I would still give Chimaev like a 70-30. He's going to be stronger. He's going to be a better wrestler. I would give Chimaev like a 70-30 shot at winning. But Silva is still dangerous from his back. I can see him fluking a submission, a Hail Mary submission. But overall, I would lean Chimaev to beat the GOAT. And I think this is the first current champ we have beating the GOAT. Next up, we move on to light heavyweight. And the current champ is Ankalaev. And the GOAT of light heavyweight is going to be John Jones. And I think this is a really good fight. I think this is closer than a lot of people think. We got Ankalaev versus John Jones. And overall, I think this would be a close fight. I would go with John Jones, though. Of course, I think John Jones is going to have the wrestling, the grappling, the clinch, all that advantage. But at range and striking, I think Ankalaev will do some good damage. If Dominic Reyes was able to do good damage at range, I think Ankalaev will as well. However, I don't think Ankalaev is physical enough to beat John Jones. I think John Jones is going to drag him into deep waters, and John Jones would beat Ankalaev, I think, probably 75-80% chance. And then moving on to heavyweight, we have the current champ Tom Aspinall versus the heavyweight GOAT Stipe Miocic. And I do think Tom Aspinall would win this fight. This is another one in the books for the current champs. Aspinall is going to be a lot quicker than him. I think striking wise, Aspinall is probably what and what with Stipe. I think Aspinall hits harder, but I think Stipe might be the more fundamental striker. And then we go to wrestling. I think they're both going to be strong. I think they're both great wrestlers. But when we go to submission threat, I think Aspinall has more of a submission threat. We've seen him in grappling tournaments. We've seen high-level BJJ techniques out of this guy. So, yeah, I would lean Aspinall. I think he has more of the submission threat. I think their wrestling is probably a wash. I think their striking is probably somewhat of a wash, but Aspinall has more of the one-hit KO power. So, overall, give me Aspinall. This would be a close fight in their primes. Obviously, if we're talking about the version of Stipe that John beat, this would be a first-round knockout by Aspinall. But we're talking about prime Stipe, who I think if he fought that John Jones he just fought, he would probably win. So, yeah, prime Stipe versus current Aspinall. I would still lean Aspinall. Thank you guys for tuning in. That's how I think each champion would do against the GOAT of their division. We had 2 wins for the current champions. We had 2 guys that were already the GOATs of their divisions, and then all the rest, the GOATs won, which I think, that's 4 wins for the GOAT. So yeah, super cool video concept. I love making hypothetical videos like this. So let me know if you guys like to hear stuff like this. That's my complete breakdown on how I think these would go. Let me know what you guys think about how these fights would go. And y'all stay tuned. You know I post every single day. So like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more content.